I recently sent an email to my email list saying, I used to wonder if my husband and I would ever make love as the poets describe. Would I ever really understand Rumi's beautiful line, quote, lovers don't finally meet somewhere. They're in each other all along, end quote. That line has always touched me. It's inspired yearning. It references the exquisite blending of two bodies, two souls, who are more whole with one another. That's the part that called to me for decades. And I go on in the email to describe how this line was so confusing and a little bit confronting for me. And now it is so real. 29 years into marriage with my husband, the way we make love, not every single time, but enough times that I have a sense of finding myself and finding him as our hearts, bodies, minds, and souls blend for moments. Well, one of my readers read the email and wrote me in response, sending a question. My husband is quite goal-oriented during sex. This usually works out quite well for me. However, it would be nice if he viewed it as a journey at times, as a way to connect, as a way to share ourselves with one another. I've spoken about it to him, but I can't seem to get him to understand where I'm coming from. He's really logical. He's a guy, so talking deeper emotions or anything spiritual is usually confusing for him, and he shuts down. I thought about presenting it in a logical manner, but can't seem to find a logical analogy or a logical way of presenting it so he will get my meaning. Do you have any phrases or analogies that can explain what you mean in logical terms so a logically structured brain can understand? She wrote that after saying that she too yearns to have the kind of experiences with her husband that Rumi is talking about. I replied, whether you're a man or a woman, whether just one or both of you don't really know what it means to connect and share the experience of making love rather than just thinking of it as a kind of on-ramp to orgasm and ejaculation. Well, here's what I have for you. Let's start with some sports analogies. If you are on a soccer team and the ending score is 3-2 and you're on the winning team, well, great, congratulations, you won. But how you feel about that game, it's going to be a really big difference if right in the first 10 minutes of the game, both sides each scored 2 goals, and the rest of the game you're playing and playing and playing, and then that third goal is made with 3 minutes left in the game. That is one kind of a journey. It's going to be super different if your team gets 3 goals in the first 15 minutes of play, and so the score for most of the game is 3-0, and then right at the end, the other team scores first 1 goal and then a second. I'm not going to spell out all the different permutations, but I'm using this to point to the fact that what the end score is, 3-2 in the case of the soccer game, or 1-1 for both of you having an orgasm, or maybe she has more, whatever it is, how you get there matters. It matters if it's a quickie or if you spend 30 minutes, 90 minutes building and building and building. And in that case, the destination feels different. It's not just 3-2, no matter how you got there. The orgasm that each of you experience at the end of 90 minutes of engaged lovemaking is just totally different experience than the orgasm after 5 minutes or 2.5. Well, I'm talking now about the length of time to get there. That is how the journey changes the destination. In fact, I'll just say a little bit more about that and say that if you want more sensation, if you want more pleasure in your lovemaking and sexual experiences, one way to do that is to stretch out the arousal time. Let it have more ebbs and flows. Let it get closer and then back off. Include more variety and ways of being with one another, ways of touching one another. The longer the arousal phase, the more intense the ultimate orgasms will be. But going back to the sports analogy, how you get there influences how it feels. Similarly, if you love mountain biking, for example, you could very easily just take a gondola down the mountain. I'm picturing mountain biking in Whistler, which is the only place I've actually experienced it. And you mountain bike in areas which could be ski slopes. Anyway, you get to the top of the mountain. It makes a difference if you just take the gondola down to the bottom or you mountain bike down that thing. One is full of peaceful placidity and a kind of objective overview, and the other one is like a constant adrenaline rush. It is, you have to be alert, you have to be engaged, you have to really be paying attention. It is a thrill, and when you get to the bottom of the mountain, it totally makes a difference if you mountain bike down that thing or you rode on the gondola. Any kind of sports context, it's not just the end score. It is how you got there, how you got to the bottom of the mountain. It is a totally different thing to hike up a mountain, whether you take the route that is like more gradual and easier and longer, or you rock climb it, or you helicopter to the top. All of those influence things. So clearly, I am using all of this as an analogy and a metaphor for enriching your sexual experiences. I could also talk about it in terms of, let's say, a novel or a movie plot. It's very easy to say, this happened, then this happened, then this happened, and then they lived happily ever after. But to actually be in the story, following the twists and turns, the highs and lows, the encounters. If you just read the last page of a novel, you would not have what you have when you read every page before it and then read that last page, because it brings meaning to the whole experience. So taking this now to sex, it is certainly possible to be goal-oriented in sex. Many people are. And it can even be good sex. But if that is the only kind of sex you're having, goal-oriented sex, like what can we do so each of you have an orgasm, that is just never going to be as nourishing, as thrilling, as erotically alive, as making every moment as rich and connected and meaningful as possible. So for you, the logical listener, or for you, the more intuitive, more responsive, meandering person who might be talking to the logical person, I don't even think you need a super fancy analogy, because it really is about enjoying the journey. And until you aim to enjoy the journey, you have no access to knowing how much richer the destination actually is, especially when it comes to sex. Another analogy, by the way, is if you go to any really fantastic restaurant with a Michelin star, the food is just magnificent. It's going to be plated beautifully. It's going to be served to you beautifully. The plates and forks and knives and glasses and the decor on the table, they all contribute to having a rich, satisfying dining experience. And if your only focus is the entree or the dessert, you miss out on so much pleasure because you're not actually allowing yourself to feel any kind of satisfaction from the appetizers. Let's go all the way and think of a 7-course meal. Well, that first course, it whets your palate. It opens up your senses. It prepares you for what's to come, but it only does that if you really enjoy that first course in its own right. And then come the flavors of the second course, and they too are so spectacular. It would be fine if you stopped eating then, except you're actually that much more enthusiastic for what's to come next. So without drawing out this 7-course meal, so rather than asking what's the point, the real question to ask is, how do I savor the journey? How do I experience more connection while making love? How is every moment exquisite so that our ultimate orgasms are that much more spectacular? Well, the answer to that question is kind of a lifetime of exploration. And I just want to give you one small suggestion. And that is to think, what kind of journey do you want to go on? Do you want to go on a journey of slow exploration? Do you want to go on a journey of acrobatics? Do you want to go on a journey of creating the most variety you've ever experienced together? Do you want to go on a journey focused on nuance? Do you want to go on a journey just being creative and breaking your sexual scripts? One of you does one thing and then the other, and then she's on top and then he's on top. And, every couple tends to have routines. So maybe the journey just consists of disrupting the routine. This is not meant to be a comprehensive course in how to create the richest experiences along the way. But with this episode, I definitely mean to advocate for doing so, no matter how logical and goal-oriented you are in the rest of your life. When it comes to sex, the best goals are met when you approach them with less of a goal orientation.